Hi, everyone, and thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box. Bill Pucko with you. Hello, Tariq.
Merry Christmas, or should I say season's greetings? Can we say both?
You can do both.
Everyone be happy. How about that? Happy times for all. Come on, light at the end of the tunnel. Yay.
Yeah. Hey, what's the jersey today, Pat?
Oh, obviously, one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it in the NFL, E.J. Manuel. Thank you very much.
So we're off the Fitzpatrick bandwagon.
Well, I mean, as long as he's not dangerous. As soon as the season's over, I'm back on Fitzy. Everything's cool with that.
You must have gotten that jersey for free. There's no way you did.
I hear jealousy. That's what I hear.
I am jealous.
Hey, how many of I wonder over the last 6 months, how many of these shows we've led with a COVID story. But let's lead, Tariq, with a COVID story. We had the NFL, it seems to me, issue a double standard between 3 times postponing the Steelers-Ravens game, which at last look is still on for Wednesday, and what they did to the Denver Broncos. How do you filter all this stuff?
I filter it with an excuse of the fact that the NFL is basically saying we don't care anymore. I mean, we have to play these games. We need to play these games. These games are going to get played. Now, I have a solution for the NFL, which I'll get to with unfinished business coming up a little bit later on. But I think what they're trying to basically say is there's plenty of other teams in the NFL that don't get COVID, or if they do get it, they've gotten it and gotten rid of it. I mean, there's a number of teams that have had to deal with these issues before. Why can't you guys? Now, I don't know why it hits some teams and doesn't hit other teams, but they're basically saying, listen, if these other teams are doing what they're supposed to do, we're not going to penalize them for not playing these games, and our fans as well. So deal with it. It's like an injury report. We're going to play these games whether you like it or not.
Pat, what's the basic difference, though, between the Ravens and the Broncos? I mean, they gave Baltimore 3 postponements, and they said, Denver, you go out there with whoever you can find.
The only thing I can wrap my head around without being cynical, it being the Ravens are contenders and the Broncos aren't, is, you look at the straight up numbers. Like the Broncos only had a couple of guys that wouldn't be able to play, only 1 positive test, where the Ravens, half of their roster by the time this was all over wasn't going to be potentially able to play if the game happened on time. Look, I mean, I do feel for the Broncos, but I'm going to be honest with you. Part of me was very excited for that Broncos game last week. I'm a guy that loves chaos on every sports level, and I wanted to see what it looked like when you had to just throw somebody in there. And also, it's the perfect solution to all of those guys who think if they would have caught a break or two in high school, they could have been an NFL player. That kid played college football as a quarterback. He's an NFL player, granted on the practice squad, and he went 1 for 9 with 2 interceptions. It showed you how hard it is to be a football player in the NFL.
First guy I thought of when all this happened in Denver was Nathan Peterman. I couldn't help myself. So look, but this guy was such a reach that it was somebody on the Broncos staff that actually was flipping through looking at bios that said, hey, this guy played quarterback. They were all set to go with somebody else, and they'd even asked the NFL to activate a couple of coaches to play the position. That's how absurd it got.
How did the NFL not let them dress a coach? That would have been the highest rated NFL game this season. I would have stopped everything I was doing to tune in. The argument was it would have messed with rosters, but I don't understand how the Broncos, he's already in the facility. He didn't have to wait the 6 days to clear the COVID protocol. You could have released someone from your roster and signed this guy straight up as a free agent. I'm very, very disappointed it did not happen.
I'm actually kind of shocked that nobody went out to try to get Jameis Winston, who's sitting on an NFL roster but not playing. Tyson Hill, he's playing for the Saints, and you have Jameis Winston who's played games. Now, he isn't the greatest quarterback, but my goodness, he is better than what most of the Broncos had or anybody else has in the NFL who's on their second or third string quarterback.
Duffy, I didn't leave a lot of time for this, and I meant to. It was Kurt Herbstreit the other night. Made a comment that he apologized for immediately when he realized what it was he said. He said, the Michigan might just wave the white flag against Ohio State, a team they probably can't beat under any circumstances. And he said, which would doubly screw them because Ohio State wouldn't have enough games to play in the Big Ten championship. It's like, if you can't beat them, disqualify them. I thought that was brilliant.
Look, I'd be lying if I hadn't thought the same thing 2 weeks ago when Michigan lost to Penn State. But look, I think if it comes down to Ohio State not having enough games to qualify for the Big Ten knows how big a deal it is to get somebody in the top 4. The Big Ten will bend over backwards to get a game in there. They're going to make it work somehow. They're not going to be disqualified from the championship.
You need the ratings. You need Ohio State. I would have loved Michigan to beat them. They probably wouldn't have, but it doesn't really matter now.
See, I'm from Duffy's School of Chaos. I really enjoy that, too. This is the Rochester Press Box. We're talking Buffalo Bills next.
Original Bay Goodman Pizza, located on the corner of North Winton at Browncroft. There are 3 ways to get the original Bay & Goodman delivery. Go to baygoodman.com.
This is the Rochester Press Box. Thanks for joining us. Bill Pucko, Tariq Spence, Pat Duffy. Pat, we got the Bills playing the 49ers this week. Buffalo's a 2.5-point favorite. It's on a neutral field. Bills catch kind of a break because the 49ers are thrown out of their home stadium by California law, so they're playing it in Arizona. How do you see it?
I mean, 49ers are a very interesting football team. Look, you beat the Rams the week before. I'm kind of going to throw that out the window. It's a divisional game. We know how crazy the division gets, and I think anybody in the NFC West can beat anybody else in the NFC West right now. The 49ers, one strong suit they have right now. Their starting quarterback is down. Their all-world tight end is down. Their all-world defensive end is down. They could run the ball, and they're physical up front. And the Bills have had a lot of problems dealing with teams that like to get physical with them. The Bills are going to get reinforcements back. Terrell Dodson and Matt Milano have been designated this week to play. We're not sure if they're actually going to dress. A.J. Klein, linebacker who everybody wanted shot into the sun, has been playing the 3 best games of his career. He's leading the NFL over the last month with 4.5 sacks by a linebacker. If you can figure out a way to stand your ground and stop the run game, the Bills run away with this thing. If you give them the opportunity to take the edge running the ball, we got a serious problem in Arizona.
I think the Bills get help by moving this game to Arizona. I think it's almost as if it is a road game, even though it's not, even though San Francisco is supposed to be playing at home. So they're a little bit inconvenienced in that time frame. Also, there is the time frame and the lag in which you're going back to the scene of the crime with that Arizona game last time you were in that stadium. That being said, I think the Bills got a chance to win by 7. I know they're favored by a little less than that, but I could see their offense going extremely well. I know Josh Allen has been a 49er fan for years, grew up in the area, would love to take a win there from a team. They need this win in the worst way. 49ers are desperate, though. That is a very desperate team. They win a couple games here. I know they take on some divisional opponents at the end of the year with Seattle and Arizona. So they need this game against Buffalo. I agree with Duffy. It's tough to really think about what they did last week and say they'll be able to do it. But they've gone win-loss, win-loss, win-win, loss-loss all season long. I just don't see them coming out offensively and ready to play against this Buffalo Bills defense.
Tariq, prime time, does that factor in at all? I mean, the Bills haven't been in this position an awful lot.
Actually, they haven't won. Have they won a Monday Night Football game this century? Pat?
Well, I do flip back to Dallas. That wasn't a Monday night game, but Thanksgiving night in Dallas was pretty impressive.
Yeah, it was. No. Go ahead. Well, I mean, I think for the extra day it does, the travel it does, it puts them back in a specific groove that they'll need to be in. I think McDermott will have his team ready to play come Monday night. I like the fact that they're playing a Monday Night Football game, gets them away from everybody else, gets them isolated and in a specific situation where they can basically play. They deserve this Monday night game. They are one of the top 5 teams in the NFL. So I think they'll put on a great show on Monday night.
Hey, Pat, I wanted to go back to the defense a little bit. The Bills have a statistic. I picked up someplace that they lead the NFL or are tied for the lead in the NFL in fourth quarter takeaways. That's pretty impressive.
I mean, is that a legitimate thing, though? Look, man, there's something about takeaway stats. Everyone likes to wave them around and show that a team's good. That actually scares me, right? The Bills have been winning close games. I mean, a lot of them over the last couple of weeks. If you're winning close games because of takeaways, those takeaways won't always be there. You get ball bouncing luck all over the place. I wish you wouldn't have told me that. I wish that was something you would have kept to yourself, and I'm not going to worry about that for the rest of the week. Thank you.
Well, football coaches love the takeaway stat, though. They think it's not just a haphazard stat. They like their teams to have that, and they think it's a reflection on the aggressiveness.
Okay, if that's the case, the Bills gave the ball away 3 times in the fourth quarter against Los Angeles last week. It doesn't. I don't know, man. I'm telling you, turnovers are essentially flips of the coins in my head. If the Bills have been winning because of those fourth quarter turnovers, I'm not a happy panda right now.
Pick the San Fran game, Duff.
I think the Bills look. If they're gonna do this, they got the Dolphins on their tail, right? You're still only a game ahead. You need to prove that you are a legitimate contender in the AFC. I think they are. Therefore, they win, and they do it by more than 2.5.
You're already on the Bills bandwagon. I know, Tariq. What's your score?
I say the Bills will win by 7, 27-20. I think this is going to be very interesting. Bills defense steps up. They stop the run. That's great. Nick Mullins' late interception trying to lead the team back seals the game for the Bills.
I don't know why. I haven't had Buffalo trip up yet. I got San Francisco 24-22 for no good reason except it just feels like they're due. This is the Rochester Press Box. Like it or not is next. Here's the Press Box trivia question brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
All of these things show Josh Allen has a strive for greatness inside of him.
Falcon Around with Carl Falk. New episodes every Tuesday on Rock Sports Now.
Here's the Press Box trivia answer brought to you by Market View Liquor, where exceptional customer service meets an extensive selection. Jefferson Road at 390.
Are you facing criminal charges from a DWI and feel that you never imagined it could happen to you? Contact attorneys with years of experience as prosecutors and defenders. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today for a free consultation. You can put your trust in us.
Hello again. Thanks for joining us here on the Rochester Press Box, our Like It or Not segment brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law Firm. Attorneys with years of experience defending the accused. Don't go unprepared. Contact Ganguly Brothers Law today. Like it or not, Pat, the Mike Tyson fight.
Oh, man, I loved it. You guys know that I'm kind of a boxing nerd when it comes to the old stuff. I spent the $50. I sat by myself up till midnight, which was hard for me because I'm getting old, on Saturday night to watch this thing. Man, there was something about I walked in with tempered expectations, knowing that these are two 50-year-old men fighting each other. And Roy Jones coming out and taking his shirt off made me a little unsettled. But when I saw Tyson walk out in those short black shorts and the shoes with no socks on, man, like I got those butterflies again. Like I was a kid in my living room watching those pay-per-view fights from the early 90s. It was great. And Tyson, for his age and against an opponent who it looks like didn't take this as serious, looked phenomenal. He carried him. He didn't knock him out. He had a couple opportunities where he could have slaughtered him, and he didn't. It was for entertainment value. The two fights on the undercard before Nate Robinson was murdered by that YouTube weirdo were a lot of fun. I had a blast, man. It was well worth the $50, although I probably, after what I got, would not spend it again. Good fun had by all.
I beg to differ. I think this was a great test. People will pay again if it's a fight that they know Tyson will fight in. I think if it's a fight Tyson that they think he will fight in, people will go back to the well again and spend. I'm not sure about $50, but they'll spend some money to watch it.
Tariq, like it or not, Sarah Fuller kicks for the Vanderbilt football team.
Love it. Love the opportunity. She's an athlete, played soccer for the team. Senior, go out there, play. If you put the ball through the uprights, you're good. You put it through the uprights a good number of times, you're even better. Why not get the opportunity to play? I love this. To me, there's no gender in sports now. We've gone to this whole level of, well, women can't play these sports. They can't play these sports. They can't do this. They can't do that. No, she can play. And if you can play, if you can be defensive back, defensive back. If you can play running back, play running back. Get out there and play. If you're better than the next player, then you deserve to be on the team. And she did this.
The thing was, philosophically, I didn't know this, but, at the end of the game, she says, this just shows that you can do, whatever you want. If you can dream it, you can do it. But if I wanted to be a professional athlete of any sport at any time in my life, no matter how much I dedicated myself to it, that wasn't going to happen. And I find myself at the end, toward the end of my life thinking, God, I just wasted all that time. I think you do people a disservice when you suggest that you can do anything, because you can't.
This woman is a very talented athlete. Like Tariq said, she has the ability to not only be a Division I athlete playing soccer at Vanderbilt, but has the ability, I think, yes, telling kids that might be a disservice sometimes. Like my 10-year-old plays hockey and I love her to death and she wants to play in the NHL and the NWHL. But look, she got my genetics, man. It just ain't going to happen. That being said, I don't have the heart to tell her that it's probably not going to happen. So I will let her turn on the television and watch moments like this and let her dream until she gets to an age where I get to look at her and go, hey, see what our bodies look like? This probably isn't going to happen for us anymore.
I have no problem with it. I have no problem with telling somebody they can do it until they don't do it anymore. Do it until you can't do it anymore. So, for example, if if Michael Jordan gets cut by his high school basketball team, a coach told him he couldn't do it anymore. You're not good enough. He stops. We don't get Michael Jordan. He keeps going. We get Michael Jordan. I just think you let people do what they want to do for as long as they can do it. If they make it to the highest level, great. If they don't, at least they can live knowing that they tried. But not everybody's going to make it. You're right.
We are the Rochester Press Box, like it or not, brought to you by Ganguly Brothers Law. Unfinished Business is next.
The Press Box Stat of the Week is being brought to you by McArdle's Restaurant in Fairport. McArdle's is open 7 days a week with dining available indoors and out, takeout and delivery. Come home to McArdle's.
Came now to Eichel. He floated one.
Thanks for joining us, and welcome back to the Rochester Press Box. It's time for Unfinished Business. Pat, start us off.
For years and years and years, you had college football folks look at Notre Dame football and go, what, do you think you're better than us? You're going to play an independent schedule? You need to join a conference or else you can't consider yourself a legitimate football program. Hey, how's that going so far? Because they're doing really well in the ACC. In fact, they're number one in the ACC right now. And they're going to get a rematch with Clemson after the last 2 games for each of them have been canceled. The final game, against Syracuse earlier this weekend. Notre Dame could beat Clemson in the ACC championship. And in the one season that they decide to play in a conference, which people have been saying you have to do for years to make yourself legitimate, you go undefeated and topple everybody else. Oh, and you manage to beat the team that has been dominant for the last, 4, 5, 6 years in that conference. Sometimes in sports, you need to be careful what you wish for. Look, man, I'm not a diehard Notre Dame fan. I know we got a lot of Rochester folks that have that connection, playing sports there, coming back home, doing their thing. But if you're one of these folks that said that Notre Dame wasn't legitimate for all these years, it's time to eat some crow and stand up and apologize to Touchdown Jesus.
I don't know about anybody else, but I'm looking forward to actually seeing games that are going to be played in the NFL. For the last few weeks or so, you've seen games move from Thursday night to Saturday night to Sunday to Monday to Tuesday to Wednesday. I have a simple NFL answer for all of this. It's called Week 18. Now, I know it throws your whole playoff off. I know it throws your Super Bowl off, but we're dealing with a situation right now. You don't get this right, we're going to be pushing things way back into February. So I guess the main issue here is, why not have a Week 18? Let everybody get a chance to regroup. Your regular season will be done. Your playoff teams will get a chance to clean their facilities, stay COVID-free, and every game after that will be an elimination game. You don't need to worry about what's going on week to week. You need to worry about getting to the playoffs. That's where real money comes in. And, of course, the Super Bowl. I'm sick and tired of games being moved. The Steelers game with the Ravens game should have happened, should not have happened, should have been canceled, should have been moved to Week 18. NFL, get it right. You don't have a lot of wiggle room left.
3 years from now, is anyone going to remember who Kendall Hinton is? And I won't, because I still have to look at his name. He was a champion at his high school. He accounted for 67 touchdowns, was a state champion and an undefeated high school football team. His coach back then said if he'd been 6'1" instead of 5'10", he'd be a college football star. Well, he wound up a backup quarterback at Wake Forest. He got mono, he got suspended, he was moved to wide receiver. He had an okay year. He wasn't drafted, but the Denver Broncos picked him up as a free agent. They cut him in training camp. That's when things got weird. Denver wound up calling the kid back. They put him on the practice squad and intended to keep him there. That's when all 4 of their quarterbacks came down with COVID and they were left scrambling and looking for somebody to play the position. That's when Kendall Hinton became a person of interest. An investigation ensued, and they found that he was the only guy on the Denver Bronco roster that had any experience playing quarterback that brief time at Wake Forest. Hey, kid, you want to play quarterback in the NFL? We have an opportunity for you. So he goes in. His stats aren't great. He goes 1 for 9 for 13 yards and gets intercepted twice. It's not the Rudy story. He did say that it was the most eventful day of his life, but then felt obliged to add, it didn't turn out the way it did in my dreams. With all due respect to Sarah Fuller, the kicker at Vanderbilt, who managed to make some history this week, it rarely does. That is our show, gentlemen. Thank you very much.
Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah. I think I got them all.
You took them all. What are you doing, man? I don't get to say happy anything.
No, you can say happy.
You forgot
Happy New Beer
Festivus. Festivus.
There he is. I'm sorry.
Thanks, guys. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you again next week on the Rochester Press Box.